Right, Unit 2, Lesson 5, students will be able to identify the equation of a line given a parallel or perpendicular line. All right, skill 1, identify a parallel line. If lines are parallel to each other, let's say we got a grid here, and a line goes through this way. Well, there can be a second line that goes like this, because you're comparing things. And if I had a perfect ruler and I had some grid paper, there's a way I can make both of these lines exactly running next to each other that they would never, ever cross. So these lines are parallel to each other because they have the exact same slope. Okay? Parallel lines have the same slope. If the degree of the slant and the type of slope of the two lines is identical to each other, then they are parallel. They will run alongside each other at the same distance apart and never touch. That's the definition of parallel. All right, so find the point of the slope that goes through this point and that point. Then find the one that goes through it here and here. Are the two lines parallel? So let's see if I did this right. So x1, y1, x2, y2. So this would be 4 minus 2 over 3 minus 2, which I did do right here, and that gives me a 2. This one here, x1, y1, x2, y2. So this would be 8 minus 6 over 7 minus 5, which I did do. And then I added across both of these and got slopes. They're both positive, but they're not the same, so they are not parallel. Okay? Example number 2. Are these lines parallel? Well, can you tell from this where the slope is? Well, this one, the slope is -2, right? Just by looking at it, because this is in y equals mx plus b form. So that means this is the slope. So that means this slope is this. But this is in the wrong form, so I need to turn this around to find out what the slope is. Y equals plus 2x. Well, I don't need to put a plus there. Plus 4. So m equals a positive 2, so these lines are not parallel. One's negative, one's positive. One's negative, one's positive. That means they're going to running to each other like that. So they can't be parallel. All right. Do you recognize these? What form is this right here? These are in point slope form. Okay. So if they're in point slope form, that's your slope. That's your slope. So yes, these two lines are parallel. Okay? All right, what about perpendicular? Perpendicular is opposite and reciprocal. Opposite sign. If one's positive, one's negative. Think about what perpendicular means. That means they have to cross each other exactly perpendicular. Exactly at a 90-degree angle. That means they must first and foremost cross each other. So they have to be opposite signs. This is a positive slope. This is a negative slope. So they have to cross each other. And then reciprocal, to get exactly that 90-degree, they have to be slanted exactly opposite. So if this one's a positive 2, then this one must be a negative 1/2. Opposite and reciprocal. Okay. All right. So perpendicular, the lines meet at the right angles. The perpendicular lines have opposite and reciprocal slopes. Even if one slope is positive and the other is negative, that doesn't mean they would meet exactly at 90 degrees. They must also be reciprocals of each other. So let's do this again. We have this point here and this point here. So 4 minus 2 over 3 minus 2 equals 2 over 1 equals 2. And this is 7 minus 6 over 8 minus 6 equals 1 over 2. Slopes are reciprocal of each other, but they're both positive, so they're not perpendicular. They're not going to cross each other if they're both positive. They're going to run into each other in a funny way. If one of them's 2 and one of them's a half, let's see, so let's make that the half, so the other one will kind of go like this or something. They're going to run into each other, okay? Are these two perpendicular? Let's see, fix this one. Add 2x, add 2x, y equals 2x plus 4, so m equals 2. This has an m right here is in slope-intercept form, so that's equals a -1/2, then yes, these are perpendicular. Are these lines? Let's see, this is point-slope form, so this is m equals 1/4, and this is m equals -2. They're not. They're opposite signs, but they're not. That would be no. Okay? One's positive, one's negative. That is true, but they're not reciprocals of this other, so they're not. All right, lesson 5, explore continued, says, given the descriptions of the lines, determine whether the lines would be parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So they can be parallel, they can be perpendicular, same slope, opposite, and reciprocal. Okay, or neither if they're neither. So they can be three things. There are three different ways. Same slope, that means they're parallel. Opposite and reciprocal, that means they go through exactly at a 90-degree angle. But what if they just kind of run across like that? Okay, so that'd be neither. So let's try this again. We have the same points, that comes out to a 2. Then we have some new points. 8 minus 8 over 7 minus 5 equals 0 over 2, which is a 0. These slopes are not the same, so they're not parallel, nor are they reciprocals of the other, so they're a neither. Okay? All right, how about this one? Let's see. I can't tell what the slope is. Move this over. 2y equals 2x plus 4 divided by 2. Let me do it over here. Y equals x plus 2. So if there's no number there, what is the slope? It's not 0. If it was 0, there'd be no x. So there has to be a 1 right there, okay? This one has a -1. All right, so are they parallel? They're definitely not parallel because they're opposite. But think about it. M equals 1 over 1, okay? And the other one is n equals -1 over 1. So if you flipped this one, you'd have still -1 over 1. Let me get my thing out here just to... So -1 is a reciprocal and opposite, so these are perpendicular. One's a hard one, that's why I put it in there. A -1 is over 1, right? Whole numbers are over 1s. Here, let's try the next one. This one is in point slope form. Here's your 1/4, and here is your -4. -4 is over 1, so that's the same as taking this, flipping it upside down, and adding a different negative to it. So it is perpendicular of each other. Okay. Given the equation of the line, find the slope that would be parallel. Okay. Or perpendicular to the line. So if you're given this line, you can't tell anything about that. Let's move the 2x over. Okay, right there is my slope. Okay, if that's my slope, what would be a line that was parallel to it? So you need to take the 2 over 5 and switch it to 5 over 2 and then make it negative. Oh, no, that'd be perpendicular. So that one's perpendicular. Wait a minute, I got to do that too. So if right here, if m equals 2 over 3, then a line that would be parallel to it would have a slope that is 2 over 5. M is 2 over 3. A line that would be parallel to it would also have a slope that is 2 over, why can't I say 5? I'm going to have some more hot tea in just a second. The slope is 2 over 5. A line that is parallel to that slope would have the same slope. Okay. If it was perpendicular, it would have an opposite and reciprocal. So let me try to do the next one. Think about this. This means that there's another line, any other line that would have a 2/5 here would be parallel. So it could be like have a 5. That line's parallel to that line because they have the same slope. Okay. If you had a line that had a slope of negative 5 over 2m, I don't know, plus 5 again, that line would be perpendicular to it just because the slope is the opposite and reciprocal. Okay. All right, this one says find a line that is perpendicular to this. So, getting sloppy here. 3x minus 4y equals 2. Move the x over. Negative 4y equals negative 3x plus 2. Isolate my y. Y equals, okay, negative 3 over negative 4 is a positive, because that's a double negative. And then a positive 2 over negative 4 is a negative 1/2. Well, all I care about is that m equals 3/4. That's what I found out, okay? And then it asked me to have a line, the slope of a line that is perpendicular. So flip and make it a negative. So the answer to this one would be negative 4/3. Okay. Find the equation of a line that goes through this point and is parallel to this. All right. I can't tell what the slope is here. I need to find out. Negative 2x, negative 2x. That's going to be a negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 6 divided by negative 3. Y equals negative over negative is a positive. That's a negative 2. All right. So this gets me that slope. Okay. Then it says, I want a line that would be parallel to it that goes through this point. All right. So you need to use, if you've got a slope and a point, you use the point slope formula, right? Point slope formula. Y minus, this is going to be x, here, let me clean this up. This is going to be x1, y1. So this is 1 minus a minus 5. Did I do that right? Yeah, minus 5 equals slope, which is 2/3. X minus 4. All right, so this is actually a double negative over there. That's what caught my eye, which makes it a positive 5, right? We practiced those. All right. So the slope is that, and this goes through the line. So we need to crunch that through to find the slope-intercept form of the equation that this would be, okay? So however you've been doing it, distribute that 2/3 x, and what is negative 4 times 2/3? Negative 8 over 3, so plus negative 8 over 3. Then you need to subtract 5. How do you subtract 5 from 8 over 3? Well, it has to be in terms of something over 3. So negative 15. So right here, negative 3, 8 threes minus that would give a negative plus another negative, gives you a bigger negative. That is this point slope form of the line in slope intercept form. Okay? That shows you an entire equation of a line that goes through this point that's parallel to that line. That's what it is. Okay? This is also what it is, but they want it in slope intercept form. Okay? Oh, there's an, oh, okay, just this little bit at the top is explore still, and then we'll do the practice. So what about the weird ones, the ones that go straight up and down and horizontal ones? So let's remind ourselves about that one. If we have a line that goes like this, okay, this is what? This is a slope that is undefined. Let's put does not exist. And it has no b. Okay, and it starts with an x equals something. Let's go with x equals 2. All right, so then we have this other line. And let's say it goes like this, okay? M equals 0. B, let's go with B is, in this case, 2, which is a 0, 2. All right, and then since it goes across, its equation is y equals 2. Because its slope is 0, you won't see the x, okay? So those are the two weird ones. We haven't practiced those in a while. All right, how would we do parallel and perpendicular with those? Finding the equation of the line that goes through 3/4. So these you would have a piece of graph paper to do. If you don't have graph paper, you just sort of have to imagine it like I just did up here and drew them. Just sketch them out, okay? If it helps, sketch a graph of the given problem. So this is what I do. Let's say I was doing this from scratch on my piece of paper. 3/4, I don't know, it's about there. Okay, let's just write that down. 3/4. Now it says I want an equation of the line that it's perpendicular, that goes through there to x is negative 2. If x is negative 2, then that line goes this way, all right, over negative 2, 0, okay? So as we bring this up, let me clean this up a little bit. As long as we bring this up, we want something that's perpendicular to it. So that means it's perpendicular and it goes through, shoot, I should be doing this as a another color. Since I can. Hold on. Playing around here. All right, this line goes this way. This is the x-axis, or the y-axis, excuse me, y-axis. And I want the line that is perpendicular through it that goes through 3/4. So look, that's a y equals. This has to be a y equals slope, right? This was x equals negative 2. All right, so if this goes through at this ordered pair, that's my x and that's my y. So y must equal 4. This must be 4, no, 0, 4. That's my b, right? That's a 0 there, 0, 4. So that would be the equation of the line that would be perpendicular to this other line. Those are a little tough. Don't get out any kind of calculations. No calculations are necessary. You just have to wing it. Oh, and I didn't use the graph that's sitting right next to it. So this is x equals negative 2. And there is my point over there. That's because I had it too big and I didn't see it. and something that is perpendicular. Perpendicular goes right across, even though I can't draw it, straight across right there, and it goes through here, so this would be y equals 4, because that ordered pair has a 4 right there. Okay, that's where that is. That's the equation. So those are a little tough. We'll come back and do the practice.